Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here and 4Ks and physical media we love, as you can see behind me. Today I am talking about a bunch of stuff, almost all exclusively from Warner Archive. And there's a lot here. There's a lot. So let's get into this. Let me first start by saying that I have been on a bit of a Steven Soderbergh kick lately. And this is due in part to the fact that his new movie Black Bag came out recently in theaters and now is on VOD, actually. Hopefully soon coming to physical. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was one of the best movies he's made in a long time. And that's not to say he hasn't made a lot of quality films. But this is his second movie this year with Presence, which I also thought was interesting. And one of his more experiment movies, if you want to call it that, I guess. You know, movies where he's trying something out. And I think that's fascinating when he does that. So this one that I'm going to start with is kind of one of those. Actually, both of them are kind of in the experiment swing kind of area. And the first one is The Informant, starring Mr. Matt Damon. This is a 4K, and it is a 4K only, whereas the next one will have a Blu-ray component as well. And this one, Two Oceans trilogy veterans Matt Damon and director Steven Soderbergh re-team for a snappy skewering of big business based on the true story of the highest-ranking corporate whistleblower in U.S. history. Damon plays Mark Whitaker, whip-smart and immensely likable, even as his schemes to expose corporate honchos illegally fixing the price of food additives become increasingly untethered. Pay attention to the fun and intrigue of The Informant, and be informed. So yeah, this is a fascinating. I do like Soderbergh's penchant for basing some material on true stories. I just recently watched the Laundromat, which is also based on some true stuff. It's kind of like his Big Short, but this one is interesting too because it deals with, like it says, corporations fixing prices. There's a little bit of more comedic, at least to start, like All the President's Men kind of action happening, and it's an interesting role for Damon, I think, for sure. I do like when they work together. I think it's a good match for sure. But this one looks good in the 4K. Like, I mean, it's from 2000, early 2000s, I want to say, and 2009. Okay. Yeah, but looks really nice in this 4K presentation, and it comes with a commentary by Soderbergh and screenwriter Scott Z. Burns, plus additional scenes are also included. But I love commentaries with Soderbergh. I just think he always, is interesting. Just a really intelligent, present, sharp guy that has great taste in cinema and brings to bear a lot of very fascinating influences when he makes movies. And I wish he would do more commentaries with other filmmakers, although I don't think John Borman's still with us. Maybe he is. Apologies there. But he did some commentaries with John Borman, and I thought that was great. Like, if you listen to the Point Blank commentary with he and Borman, is just really great. He's just really good at commentary, I think. And I don't think I've seen or heard an interview with him I didn't enjoy and or didn't take away a recommendation for a movie from almost. And this is no exception here. But yeah, a really nice second or third 4K from Warner Archive. And then one more Soderbergh. We have The Good German. And this one is from 2006. So a little before The Informant, and definitely in that sort of experimental swing area. It, of course, stars George Clooney, Cate Blanchett, and then, of course, Tobey Maguire, who becomes the center of the movie, really, in a lot of ways. And it's black and white, and it is a fascinating swing, that is for sure. Who knows what American journalist Jake Geismer, George Clooney, expected to find in post-war Berlin? Peace, maybe, or at least a story, but certainly not Lena. Cate Blanchett, his beautiful, embittered one-time love, and not the trail of secrecy and deception that leads from Lena to the scheming young corporal, who's her new lover, and to a murder no one seems interested in solving except Jake. Soderbergh directs 3 of today's top talents in this zigzag thriller that's both an atmospheric homage to 1940s filmmaking and a deft modern film noir. The Good German is haunting and hypnotic. It's pure moving-going bliss. That's Peter Travers, the Rolling Stone. Now, this one does have a Blu-ray included as well, and looks pretty gorgeous. I think it was shot digitally, but don't quote me on that, actually. Yeah, but it looks really, really good, and the black and white is very striking. And I want to say it's 4:3 if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I don't think it's 133. But yeah, it looks gorgeous, and this is one I wish had a commentary. I'd love to hear more of what Soderbergh has to say about this particular experimental swing. But yeah, just really a fascinating one, and I think, like The Informant, and this is something I was noticing post Black Bag, is that I saw that with Elric Kane, my podcast partner for Pure Cinema, and we were both kind of noticing that there are, probably because of his the amount of films he makes, there is always seemingly one or two that slip by a lot of people, and it varies as to which one based on the person. But we just started looking at his filmography after the Black Bag screening, and we were just like, wow, there's at least 5 here that each of us haven't seen, varied between the two of us, which we hadn't seen. This was one of them, honestly, and so it's good to finally get to check it out, especially in 4K, because it looks gorgeous, and it is just a really interesting entry in his filmography. Is it my favorite? No, it's definitely not, but I do think it's a real interesting one and a nice choice for a new 4K upgrade for this one. So that's The Good German from Soderbergh. Next we have 70s Blaxploitation with Hitman. This is George Armitage's film. George Armitage would go on to make the beloved film Grosse Pointe Blank. But he did a lot of work in the 70s, and this one stars the great Bernie Casey. And Bernie Casey, to me, is just one of those actors that maybe is a little bit underappreciated in terms of, what he brings to each performance. And I think, there'll be a lot of people that if you grew up in the 80s, you'd remember him maybe from like Revenge of the Nerds as the head of the Tri-Lambs. That's a big one for him. But, he's in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's in tons of movies. He's in Under Siege. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Sharky's Machine, Spies Like Us. He shows up in, Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, which recently played the New Beverly a few months back. He's really good in that. In the Mouth of Madness, he just, Boxcar Bertha, he just is one of those actors that was really prolific in his filmmaking, in the number of movies he did, and he always brought something interesting to his performances. And passed on in 2017, but not forgotten for sure. And this is a great showcase for him. This film, well, I'll read the back. It's based on a novel, Jack's Return Home by Ted Lewis, which is adapted by George Armitage. Tyrone Tackett's brother wasn't the kind of man to throw his life away. Somebody killed him, plain and simple. And by the time Tyrone crisscrosses L.A. and pieces together the crime, lots of folks are going to pay. With equal amounts of tough and sexy, Bernie Casey portrays Tyrone, and Pam Grier plays a sultry skin-flick star in this first Americanized remake of the iconic Michael Caine action film Get Carter. That, of course, a great British movie that is a great neo-noir in its own right, sort of. From Watts to the West Side, from porno parlors to a high-rise, from motel dives to a crime kingpin sprawling pleasure dome, from corner hangouts to a wildlife preserve, Tyrone covers a lot of real estate and busts a lot of heads. Throughout, Star Casey keeps enough cool for half a dozen movie heroes. That's a New York Times review. But yeah, this is produced by Gene Corman, Roger Corman's brother, and has that sense of low budget flavor that the Corman proper Roger Corman films had. But yeah, Pam Grier, great in this. I would imagine Quentin Tarantino is a fan of this. There's a quick shot of Bernie Casey riding or walking in LAX or riding I don't know, but it reminded me of Jackie Brown a little bit. But some familiar faces that show up here. Roger E. Mosley is one of them, and Paul Gleason shows up for a second if you're a Breakfast Club fan. But yeah, underseen, Blaxploitation, Get Carter. There's another movie called Cool Breeze, which I believe Warner Archive put out on DVD. I don't think it's on Blu-ray yet, but that's a Blaxploitation remake of The Asphalt Jungle, and I always like to think of these two together for whatever reason, because they are effectively Blaxploitation takes on older films. Although, this one, the Get Carter film is not that far back from this, because this comes out in 72, and I want to say Get Carter's like 71, so it's like real soon after that. But definitely worthwhile. Looks very good. Has a great like poppy kind of opening, and Bernie Casey's really good in this. I really like him a lot. A great showcase for him for sure. So that's Hitman. Good stuff. Then we have a one called Earth 2. And this one, in the peaceful space colony called Earth 2, even toy guns are banned. But something far more dangerous threatens this ideal world, a Chinese satellite armed with 3 nuclear warheads. The citizens of Earth 2 decide to disarm the warheads, despite China's warning that anyone who interferes will instigate a thermonuclear World War III. Outstanding special effects and impressive cast headed by 2001 Space Odyssey co-star Gary Lockwood. Very cool to see him here. Highlight this space frontier chiller that brings audiences to the terrifying edge of doomsday. Can men and women of peace triumph over the formidable power of nuclear weapons? Earth 2 has the answer. Originally produced as a telefilm pilot for a projected television series, this new remastered Blu-ray release features additional footage intended for international distribution. So this is 133. It's square, but it's 97 minutes. I do think it's interesting when a film that was intended to be a TV movie or a pilot gets international distribution and gets added footage. I was at the New Beverly not too long ago seeing Duel in its theatrical international format, where they added some footage to make it more feature length, and I found it intriguing when that happens. In that case, it was widescreen. This is still 133, but it's an interesting sci-fi, fable, the sort of take on the nuclear thing. Obviously, very relevant still relevant in 1971. Let's see, Gary Merrill is also in this, which is really cool. He's one of those actors that looks a little bit like Heston, was in a lot of movies, including one I really love called Another Man's Poison with Bette Davis. That I think that Blu-ray's out of print, but I remember Tarantino buying that at my video store circa 2000 on DVD, and my coworker actually at the time bringing up Gary Merrill to him, and they're both kind of marveling at how they both dug Gary Merrill. Anyway, I love to see him in movies, and this is an interesting sci-fi TV movie that, I think needs to be seen. I think it's one of those that, and it's directed by Tom Grise, who did a lot of work with Charles Bronson, and good stuff. But all these Blu-rays look good. I should just say they all look good. Warner Archive always does a wonderful job with their transfers. We're not getting a lot of extras here. We're getting trailers on both of the last two I mentioned. Speaking of lady stars, not quite Bette Davis, but Joan Crawford. We have Satie McKe. And this one is from 1934, so right around that pre-code, but falling into the code era. In this vivid melodrama, Joan Crawford is Satie McKe, who must choose between love with Gene Raymond and money with Edward Arnold, and eventually gets both with Franchot Tone. Crawford had an amazing ability to adapt her screen persona with changing times. She was a frenetic flapper in the 20s, chin-up working girl in the 30s, and a film noir femme fatale in the 40s. Here she is at her Depression-era peak as Satie, a maid who sacrifices all for love and suffers like crazy, but somehow winds up happy at the end. The leading lady gets excellent support from her three co-stars. Franchot Tone, who's soon to become Crawford's second husband, and Raymond are compelling as the handsome young suitors in her life, one good and one scoundrel. And Edward Arnold is particularly memorable in his sympathetic portrayal of the millionaire drunk Satie marries. But from rags to riches, from heartbreak to happiness, this film is all Crawford's. Yeah, this is a great showcase for her, and she looks really good in this, and that's not to say she doesn't look good in everything, but she has a certain look when she was younger that is really remarkable, and her presence is really strong even in way back in the 1930s. But yeah, Franchot Tone, an interesting actor I'm coming around to slowly. A guy that I can't remember what I first saw him in that I didn't love him in, but he's in Five Graves to Cairo with for Billy Wilder, and I really like him in that, and I like that movie a lot. Does that have a Blu? Yeah, I think that's got a Kino Blu-ray. Anyway, this has classic cartoons in terms of features. Pop Goes Your Heart, Shake Your Powder Puff, Why Do I Dream Those Dreams? I don't know why that was so hard to read. But yeah, I love a new classic film on Blu-ray, and this one looks very, very nice. Joan Crawford and Satie McKe. Then we have Monogram Matinee Volume 1, which would indicate that there may be more to come from Warner Archive in terms of Monogram Studios releases. They are a studio that Monogram Pictures, that is. They were an American film studio. They produced mostly low-budget films between 1931 and 1953, and they were transitioned to the name Allied Artist Pictures Corporation at that time. But it was among one of the smaller studios in the golden age of Hollywood, and generally referred to collectively as Poverty Row, because they lacked the financial resources to deliver lavish sets, production values, and star power of the larger studios, but they sought to sort of find audiences with genre, action, adventure, westerns. They did a lot of westerns. I feel like there's a bunch of bunch of Monogram collections on DVD, and I think a lot of them were westerns, because westerns may, as you probably know, I don't know about today, but I think over time, westerns are probably the most popular genre ever in terms of the amount of films produced, even more than horror, which obviously is an easy draw, but westerns were, I think, easier to produce and cheap, so they got made a lot, and they were a genre that audiences really liked, and I think still like to this day. That's how impactful that genre is. A trio of features from Hollywood's beloved Poverty Row studio. For more than 20 years, Monogram Pictures Corporation provided a steady flow of B pictures to audiences around the world. Their low-budget films gave moviegoers no-frills entertainments that were also among the first Hollywood features to find their way into homes during the early days of television. I think that's another significant thing there. Among Monogram's most popular fare were its westerns, and this collection of 3 Monogram titles from 1949 features 2 of its popular cowboy stars, Johnny Mac Brown and Whip Wilson, as well as a larger budget production which stars legendary country music performer and twice elected Louisiana governor Jimmy Davis. In Mississippi Rhythm, Davis plays a man who inherits an interest in his late uncle's land development company in a town called Creek City. Jimmy soon discovers a corruption scheme is afoot with a local judge and men out to swindle settlers with, quote, dry land. Next up is Western Renegades, starring Johnny Mac Brown as a U.S. Marshal on a mission to clear the name of his friend accused of murder by exposing the group of outlaws who really committed the heinous act. Finishing out the program is Whip Wilson, starring in Crashing Through. Wilson portrays an undercover Wells Fargo agent posing as a stagecoach driver in order to bring justice to a small frontier town, which has been plagued by a slew of stagecoach robberies. All three films provide grand entertainment and serve as a reminder of what Saturday matinee of Monogram programmers were like in 1949. So no features on this, but you are obviously getting 3 movies, and they are all relatively short. Crashing Through, 54 minutes. Mississippi Rhythm, 68 minutes. Western Renegades, 54 minutes. So, effectively about 3 hours worth of entertainment on one disc. And it looks really good. Obviously they were lower budget pictures, but I do think this is a good one for classic Western fans. I'm trying to remember if these were part of a DVD set already, but I don't remember that. Regardless, I like Johnny Mac Brown. I think the other two sound interesting, so definitely excited to dig into this Monogram Matinee Volume 1 set. And Matinee gives the indication it won't always be Westerns. It may be something else the next time. Hopefully there will be a next one, so please check that out. Next we have a little cartoon action, very close to my heart. Hanna-Barbera. The Magilla Gorilla Show, the complete series. And this is on 3 discs. 3 discs. And it he's one of those sort of side characters to me when I think about him, but he actually was pretty popular because he had his own show. Direct from his Peebles Pet Shop habitat, Magilla Gorilla swings into the Blu-ray jungle, and his inimitable goofiness and penchant for stumbling into trouble still intact to delight new generations of cartoon fans. As the naive ape demonstrates, primates and humans share similar situations. Magilla gets to be an army draftee, Private Magilla, featuring famous news anchor Walter Cranecake, a football player, Gridiron Gorilla, an astronaut, Planet Zero, and more. Every silly situation and occasion for laughs. You can also relish the frisky feuding of Pumpkin Puss and Mushmouse in a rootin' tootin' shootin' gallery of hillbilly hilarity. Lightning fast Sheriff Ricochet Rabbit and his coyote deputy droop along, round out the animated animal antics. All 23 original episodes of this Hanna-Barbera classic series have been newly remastered from 4K scans of the original negatives for pristine quality, along with 8 bonus Magilla cartoons that are sure to please. Special features: Here Comes a Star archival TV special goes inside Hanna-Barbera Studios to introduce this new simian character, and Magilla theme song, live and unplugged, rare footage of Hoyt Curtin and Bill Hanna at the piano, introduced by series animator Jerry Eisenberg. Mr. Peebles' Pet Shop interview gallery with Magilla's voice Alan Melvin, series animator Jerry Eisenberg, and animation historian Jerry Beck. I love it when Jerry Beck is involved, as he is the Leonard Maltin of animated cartoons. Although I've said before, that's not really fair because Leonard Maltin's also a big animation guy too. So, but yeah, very nice set. Looks really good. I love how nice these animation Blu-rays look. I'm a big fan of them. I've got a bunch of them. Back up here. The Tex Averys, all that stuff. 539 minutes, so quite a lot of cartoons, which I love. Okay, lastly we have Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. This is a 4K that I have not had a chance to check out yet, but I'm intrigued by, because these new Batman animated movies are always interesting, and this one obviously looks like it has like a little anime action going. It's an anime superhero film directed by Junpei Mizuzaki and Shinji Takagi, written by Kazuki Nakashima, produced by Warner Brothers, and animated by Kamikaze Douga and Yamada Works, based on the DC Comics character Batman, of course. It is the sequel to Batman Ninja. This is new. This is from 2025. Batman Ninja's from 2018, and this new one features Batman and his allies fighting to protect Gotham City from an invasion of Yakuza-style criminals led by an alternate version of the Justice League. It says, one day after returning from the past, Batman and his allies discovered that the world is not quite the same as they left it. The entire island of Japan no longer exists, and neither do the heroes of the Justice League. But before they can handle what is going on, Yakuza literally start raining from the skies. So that's a really interesting and powerful image. This includes bringing the League to Japan and anime action choreography, the fights, as well. And this includes a digital code, but it's only a 4K and a digital code. I am very much looking forward to checking this out. I do remember liking Batman Ninja. That just alternate universe kind of idea is really intriguing to me. So, and I'm sure the 4K will look lovely. That's Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. And last, but absolutely not even close to least, is this incredible Cheyenne, the complete series set. Now, I had no idea just how big this is. Like, you look at how many... This is, 7 seasons of the wonderful Western television series starring the great and memorable hold on a second here. There's actually a lot of folks in this that's really intriguing to me. But Clint Walker is the star, of course. And so with each of these seasons, you're getting at least, probably 3 or 4 discs worth of stuff. And this is a beautiful, so that's season 1, season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. 7 seasons of Cheyenne. And from what I've seen of it, it looks spectacular. And I'm curious, how do they... Yeah, well, I'll put this up here so you can see it. In the 1950s, a posse of popular Warner Brothers TV westerns galloped into American living rooms. Maverick, Sugarfoot, Bronco, Lawman, Colt 45. Colt 45 they put out on Blu-ray last year, and a great set. The Sagebrush Rage began with Cheyenne, an epic series of gun-blazing action and panoramic prairie vistas that ran for 7 top-rated seasons and helped turn a nation of accountants, sales clerks, and kids into armchair cowpokes. The source of Cheyenne's significant popularity was its charismatic and heroic leading man, Clint Walker, who rose to instant TV star fame as Cheyenne Bodie, 6.5 feet of cowboy brawn, courage, and integrity. The series is highlighted by early television appearances of such future stars. Now, this is the stuff that always gets me. 70s, not 70s, TV of this period has so many great actors that are sometimes really young or sometimes just doing a guest spot. But so listen to this list. This is great. Future stars as James Garner, Ed Burns, Alan Hale Jr., Dan Blocker, Lee Van Cleef, Michael Landon, Lauren Green, Angie Dickinson, Connie Stevens, and Ellen Burstyn. That's just to name a few. I know that's not everybody. This Blu-ray collection contains all 107 episodes of the series, all meticulously remastered from 4K scans of the original camera negatives. So like I said, this looks gorgeous in these Blu-ray presentations. And if you know anybody that's a fan of old Western TV shows, they undoubtedly are a fan of Cheyenne, and they definitely would appreciate this set. Again, I just hadn't realized how big and hefty this was. You know, there's just a lot happening here. And it says, I'm just wondering how many minutes this is. This has got to be just an insane amount. 5,560 minutes. So a lot. This would take you a long time to get through. And in terms of features, I don't think there's much, if any. No, I think it's just the episodes. Although The Lonely Gunfighter, an interview with Clint Walker, is on the first season. That might be it. Yeah, I think. Let's just check the last one just in case. Yeah, I think that. So you do get a Clint Walker interview on this, which is nice, especially if you're a big fan. But what a beautiful set. And they look gorgeous. That's Cheyenne, the complete series from Warner Archive. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.